Hey everybody, I'm Alex Simons. I am the U15 Typhoon head coach at Sudden Impact Volleyball in Bellevue, Washington. And this is the fourth in my video series on kind of experimentation with applying ecological dynamics and differential learning-based approach to coaching volleyball. My whole point of doing this is to share some of the things that I'm working on with other coaches who might be interested, get feedback and suggestions, and hey, maybe all of us can just get better at this together. So let me tell you about what we've been working on. So my last video was about 3 weeks ago. Those of you who have seen the previous videos know that we're in the middle of a 6-week-long training set. We did have a chance to do another Power League last weekend. So got some good feedback, like real time. I could see what kinds of things we were improving on, which ones we weren't. And then we are coming up on our first national qualifier in 2 weeks. And kind of once we get to that qualifier, we've got 4 qualifiers plus our regional bid tournament all in like a 6 or 7 week period. So it's just going to go bang, 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 bang. So this is kind of the last week or so of time that I've got for, like really deep teaching and learning. Pretty soon we're just going to have to go compete, compete, compete. Right. So let me walk you through the things that we were focused on these 3 weeks. This is based both on what I've been seeing in Power League 1 and Power League 2, but also knowing we have a qualifier, national qualifier coming up in 2 weeks that we're trying to get ready for. So first, we'll continue to work on aggressive serving, especially short. We don't see enough short serves as an area we continue to struggle in a little bit. I'm also coaching them to serve tough, deep serves. Particularly this week, we talked about aiming for the opponent's throat, mostly because I wanted the passers to have to deal with those kind of high, right at their chest kinds of serves. For passing, we're talking a lot about seeing the server's arm and hand super early in order to kind of pick up what kind of serve it is. Is it short? Is it deep? Is it hard? Is it soft? Is it high? Is it low? So we've been spending a bunch of time like that. We've shown a bunch of video of Cassie Strickland, who used to play at UW. She had really great technique for getting to a short serve. So we've been talking to them about, watch what Cassie's doing, how she goes down on one knee, how that's a really great motion you might want to try. And then we've also been talking about how to manage high floats. So I talk about this as pick a side early and then make space for the ball. I'm trying as much as possible to find external cues for this. So I'm really talking about make space for the ball rather than, open up or get out of the way or anything like that. So making space for the ball. But mostly we've been showing a lot of video. Shannon Crenshaw, who I coached for a year at University of Washington, she had really nice technique for this. So we've shown a bunch of video of Shannon passing as well. So I'm really hoping by showing them videos of this rather than talking about the kind of the technique itself, that they'll be able to figure it out without me having to give them a bunch of, at least we're giving them some emotions to have in their heads rather than thinking about specific, kind of internal cues. We have introduced slide attacks as well, not so much because we need to run a slide. We run a 6-2 mostly, but because we know that when we get to the qualifier, there'll be teams that run slides. So we got to be able to defend those. It turns out one of my middles has gotten really good at running slides, so that's kind of fun too. We're going to use that like at a row 1 a lot when she's in a stack. For this, again, I'm trying not to use any internal cues or to talk about specific, like be on this step or whatever. So we've shown a lot of video. So Maren Grote, who was a middle at UW when I was there, we've shown a lot of video of her, and then Jenna Rosenthal, who was a middle at Marquette a few years earlier. I happen to have some footage of her running slides as well. So we watched a lot of video of slides before we went on the court. Just the middles, the middles, and the setters watched a lot of video of those two athletes and their setters, of course, running slides, and talked about kind of the spacing and where, the relationship between each other, between the setter and the middle, without trying to talk about any body parts. So I'm trying to keep it all external. It's a totally new way to teach slide hitting that I've never tried before. For the quick hitters, the same thing. Middles, we're still working on our other attacks on being on our 3rd step. That's going pretty well. For the setters, one setter, I'm talking to her about keeping her hitters in rhythm, making sure that she can kind of see them and are they having to slow down or speed up. to see if she's got the right tempo going. And then for my other setter, I'm just talking about her relationship to the ball. And when she contacts the ball, is it, pretty much right in front of her forehead instead of in other places. She has a lot of, she tends to, she tends to set from many different locations in relationship to it, and it leads to a lot of very unhittable balls. Uh, Last, for our pin attackers, we're still working on getting on our second step. A few of them really have it down. Some of them are still, way too late, which makes it hard for the setters to even know if they're setting the right tempo. So we're working on getting them even more on their second step. And then, of course, we continue to work on their attack toolbox. Can they hit line? Can they hit sharp? Can they hit the deep corner? And all kinds of different kinds of bonuses and incentives and stuff for them to work on those things. So that's kind of what I was trying to get accomplished the last 3 weeks in practices. Let me go ahead and show you a bunch of the activities that we were doing to make that happen. First, let me show you what we were doing to try to teach slides to our middles. So like I told you, we started by watching a bunch of video, and then we went right out onto the court and got started. So I was trying to use a representative learning design model here, get as much of the context in while keeping it simplified. So the way we started out was we just had a coach on the far side tossing the ball over to the libero. The libero was passing to the setter, and then the middles were having to run slides. And we talked to them about the timing and how as the ball came over, they needed to make sure they were watching the ball and needed to get even with their setter. And that was about it. That was what we told them. And then we said, hey, go try it out. And they did. So, but we did this pretty short, like you'll be able to see it here in just a second. So we ran this, and then we did it for maybe 15 minutes at most until it looked like they kind of had the idea, sort of. We had a few of them got a couple kills, a bunch of mistakes and weird stuff going on, but they basically kind of had the pattern. And here, let's just watch a few of these.
Oh, that's a beautiful shot.
Okay, so as soon as we were done with kind of that 15-minute intro, we went right into playing Monarch. I wanted something that was as game-like as possible, so they had all the context. So we run Monarch. Almost every practice is like our warm-up drill. The kids know it really well, so at least they knew what they were doing. In this case, what we did was we put one of our outside hitters back row, and we put our setter front row. We had the middle running slides, and basically what we told them was that they were bonus points. If the middle, we didn't tell them that the middle didn't have to run slides, but if they ran a slide and got a kill, they got a bonus point. We also want the outside hitters working on their toolbox. So the outside hitter, we had a bonus point for them if they could get a sharp kill. And then for the setter, we had a bonus point if the setter could could score off of a dump. I was doing that because we know when we get to our qualifier in a few weeks, we're going to need to be able to defend more setter dumps as well. So that was the drill. I have to say, it was super chaotic. If learning is supposed to be messy, it was messy. I think kind of what happened was the setters were struggling so much with how to locate on the slide attacks that they just were like, they couldn't even do the normal things. Like they couldn't set goes, they couldn't set reds. That all they could do was struggle. But we did, as the drill went, it got a little better and better. We did get a few of the middles able to actually run and successfully get some kills. The outside hitters did work on getting sharp attacks, and even one of the setters got a couple of kills as well. So it was the messiest Monarch we've ever run. But here, you can watch a little bit. I think it was effective in terms of a learning environment, though they were frustrated as heck. After Monarch, we moved on to a 6-on-6 activity, but still we kept the same bonus points. So because we still wanted the middles to be working on the slides and the setters to be working on dumping and the outsides to be working on sharp attacks. So now the coaches are just entering free balls back and forth, and the kids are playing it out. this worked pretty well. It's still chaotic. I mean, it was not pretty volleyball, but we started to get some slides that were close to working. The setters were very aggressive. They attacked quite a bit. And the outsides were definitely working on, hey, can they hit sharp or not? So I thought this went pretty well. They were super frustrated because they weren't scoring a lot of points and things weren't working, but I felt like it was a really good learning environment in terms of they're working on the right things and making the right kinds of mistakes as they learn how to do this. All right, then after that, we went on to an attack tutor. We've been doing this quite a bit recently for other kinds of attacks. So we're just putting noodles up along the net to give them a really clear view as to, okay, what's the attack window that they're trying to use. This seems to work really well for the setters and for the attackers. It gives them a really great external cue that lets them see how are they doing and self-correct. So I like that a lot. This time, we're just using our same ones for the slide attacks that we normally use for our red back sets. I also made the window for the outside hitters slightly wider. We're asking them to work on sharp attacks in this practice, and so I felt like they needed a little more space in that window to be able to hit sharp. So we changed that. There's also a gap window up. They didn't really use that any in this practice. The middles were very focused on running slides. I really like this drill. This time, normally before we've done it just without any defenders, but this time I decided, hey, let's put some defenders in to make it even more, game-like. And so there are blockers and back row defenders in this as well, just to really make the hitters have to deal with the full context of attacking in this activity. So I really liked how this worked. We'll definitely do this one again. Right. And then when the attack tutor was over, we just moved on to playing normal 6-on-6, but we kept the same bonus points in place again. So the middles could score extra points by getting a slide kill. The outside hitters could score by getting a sharp kill. In fact, either pin could score by getting a sharp kill, and then the setters could score extra points by getting a setter dump. So I liked this, keeping the consistent bonus points in place for the whole practice pretty much. So every kid who was working knew what they were working on and had a way to help their team score bonus points. I think it worked pretty well. In fact, I'll probably do this again for a bunch of future practices. The last two things I want to show you in this video are some activities that we've recently added that are aiming to get our hitters to use more of their toolbox. So the first one is a new thing I dreamed up. So I'm trying to get the hitters to hit sharp angle more, and I haven't been able to get them to really do that with just bonus points. But I was thinking back about the success we've had with playing narrow court doubles and how in the narrow court doubles, they're really working hard on hitting line, and that's starting to show up in our competition. So I was kind of thinking about, well, can I change the shape of the court so that they are incented to work on their sharp attacks? So I laid out a court. I'm calling it the Z court. You'll see it in the video here, but the way the court is laid out, you're playing kind of crossways across the net, and the only way to score points is to hit at an angle, because the court is basically zones one on both sides are kind of outside of the court, and so you can't hit that direction. I wasn't sure how well this would work, but it was great. The kids tried angle attacks again and again and again, and then the little bit of space that we created for them on the far side of the net. So we didn't get rid of all of zone two, for instance. They even tried to run slides there, with the middles trying to hit line. I was really surprised at how well this activity worked. It got them to do exactly the things I've been struggling to get them to do otherwise. So I was really happy with it. Then the other activity we did to try to get our attackers to just use more of their toolbox was to play a game of 5-on-6. That day we only had 11 players, so we played 5-on-6. But our rule was that you could do just normal volleyball, but the only thing you couldn't do was you couldn't spike. So if you wanted to attack, you had to find some other kind of attack. You could roll, you could throw, you could tip, you could throw it off the block, you could do whatever you wanted, power tip, but you couldn't spike. And this worked really well too. If you watch the video, you'll see they're trying all kinds of unusual movement patterns, exploring new ways to maybe score a point. Some things I've never seen us do in the gym before. They're throwing the ball. Wow, even one of the outsides goes up and does a left-handed toss. So very creative exploration of how to score points without attacking. And the thing that was great about this was we did this the weekend before Power League 2. And then at Power League 2, they went and did some of these things that we've never done before. Like what the outside hitter who threw left-handed went up at Power League 2 and did it and scored it. I mean, it was a great point on a move that she'd never even tried before the previous weekend. So I thought this drill was really great too. Well, that's it for this fourth episode. If you've got any suggestions or feedback, would love to hear from you. Hopefully, maybe you'll find one of these things useful, particularly the Monarch on Z Court for us. That was a really breakthrough activity. Hopefully, someone else will give it a try and like it. And as always, thanks to both my assistants, Grace and Jeff. They're awesome in terms of suggesting improvements and dealing with all of the strange ambiguity and ugly practices that we're having. But I'm pretty happy. I'm feeling like the kids are working on the really hard things they need to do to improve. So far, so good.